Senator Rosen.
Thank you, Chair Murray. You know, this hearing really comes at a critical time. I appreciate the thoughtfulness of the senator from Alaska, how she is working in a bipartisan way to help us move forward on this. So thank you. But nonetheless, the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, it does take away a woman's right over her own body, and it is going to hand it to anti-choice politicians. In states like Nevada, access to reproductive care, health care remains protected, but the threat of a nationwide ban is real, and it will have dire consequences. It's why I'm going to continue to call on President Biden to take all executive actions he can to protect reproductive rights, to protect women's lives, and it's why we need to ensure a total ban on abortion never becomes federal law. And so all of us here have been discussing extreme abortion bans and anti-choice politicians rolling out these rigid bans across the country, forcing women to carry pregnancies against their will. We've seen some laws so extreme, they don't even have exceptions for rape or incest. So I know we're at the end of towards the end of a long hearing, and I have a few questions. So Dr. Brandy, maybe we'll just have a discussion about how the total lack of exceptions, these very rigid state laws, how it's harmful to women, how it creates a unique burden on someone like you, an OBGYN, the patient and the doctor, waiting till somebody is moments, perhaps, from death in order to take care of them. Can you just speak a little bit about that? I have a few other questions on this. I thought we'd maybe have a discussion.
Thank you, Senator. I would love to have a discussion on this. I think it was mentioned before that there are exceptions for the life of a mother. And so, of course, you know, that is okay. That's great for our patients to make sure that they're safe. But the problem with the very few restrictions, or the very few allowances for being able to provide abortion care is that it doesn't take into account the individual circumstances of that person. And what we're seeing across the country now in places where abortion is banned, except for life of the mother clauses, is that people don't know what that means on the ground. Doctors don't know what that means. Ideally, as a physician, if I have a patient that has an illness, a condition, I want to be able to treat it right then and there. I don't want to wait a couple of hours or a couple of days for conditions to get worse. And many doctors across the country are asking, how bad does it have to be?
Where's this thin line? And where's the thin line between life and death for both? For both the mother and the fetus. You talk about this. What about in cases of severe anomaly where someone's forced to carry a pregnancy? Can you talk about that and how you're going to deal with that? Fetuses with a severe fetal anomaly. Pregnancy isn't viable, and it's really a threat to the physical and mental health of the woman.
Sure. And I think you bring up a good point around viability, which is a very common conversation about having gestational age bans, for example, that every pregnancy is different. Some pregnancies may be viable at certain gestational ages. Some pregnancies where the fetus has some type of anomaly may never be viable. And so when I have patients that have that situation where they have a fetus with anomalies, it's always a nuanced conversation about what are their goals for this pregnancy and what are their goals for their potential child. Do they want to continue a pregnancy and deliver and go through a labor process and watch that fetus, when it's delivered, watch that baby die shortly after? Or do they want to have an abortion and end the pregnancy earlier? I think that that decision should be that individual person's decision. I don't think I'm able to make, that decision for them, and I'm hopeful that people outside of their families, people like politicians, won't be able to make that decision for them either.
Again, it's about individual liberties and right to privacy, but sadly in some states, women can face jail time, steep financial penalties, possibly the physicians, the nurses, friends or neighbors or family members who may help you. So what impact do you think these threats of jail time on everyone are going to impose on people?
Thank you for that question. I assume that most doctors didn't go to medical school to, wait to take care of patients, to delay care. All of us want to provide the standard of care. We want to provide evidence-based medicine and help our patients with whatever care that they need. And now physicians are being put in an impossible situation where they have to decide whether or not they want to follow their oath to do no harm, to protect our patients, or protect ourselves and protect, our families, and protect our licenses. That's an impossible decision. Doctors care so deeply for our patients. I know I care so deeply for my patients. And it's incredibly hard to think about being in that position where I can't intervene because I have to call my lawyer first to make sure that it's okay, or that I'm going to wait and wait and wait until someone gets sicker and sicker because I don't know what that law means. And we're seeing that across the country. I'm hearing stories from all over, from physicians that are withholding life-saving care because they don't want to go to jail. And that's really not how healthcare should work.
An incredible burden on, you're right, for the physicians and healthcare providers who care so deeply, and of course, for a woman and her family's right to privacy in these choices. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.